country here from Jihan, Chengdan Province, China. They're visiting and they're staying in District H. They're here for a wedding. If you would, please stand to be recognized, Mr. Peng and Miss Zheng. They're first-time visitors to Houston. They're very excited to be here. Their daughter is getting married to somebody here, and they're here for the wedding. So just want to welcome them to Houston, welcome them to District H. Very glad y'all are here. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you. Come back and see us. Thank you, Councilmember. Members, I think it'd be on schedule to do our appointments. We have guests with us that are here to witness the vote, and I'm going to ask the Secretary at this time, please call item 2.
Item 2 needs a motion.
Castex Tatum move.
Thomas second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion passes. Madam Secretary.
Go ahead and recognize your folks.
Yeah, let's vote first.
Okay.
Madam Secretary, go ahead and call up item 3.
Item 3 needs a motion.
Castex Tatum move.
Thomas second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion passes.
And that's all the appointees for Houston.
I would ask our appointees that are present. I see Mr. Wei Lee. I know Shireen's out of town. Roxanne, young Stan, thank y'all for your public service, and I'd suggest you go to work. Thank y'all. Michael Heckman, thank you for your leadership over at Houston First. It's one of our economic engines that probably doesn't get recognized enough because you're so busy working.
Is Nikki here? Councilmember Huffman.
Nikki Keeman, are you present? Thank you. Appreciate your willing to continue to serve and use your experience and leadership. Thank you, ma'am. Councilmember Huffman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say thank you to all of you for continuing to serve and for our new members agreeing to do this. Wei Lee, Roxanne, both District G residents. This is so great. I'm so excited about the appointments. Congratulations.
Mayor Pro Tem Castex Tatum.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to also extend my gratitude to the new appointees and to Nikki for her continued service. We had the opportunity to welcome the OTC conference this weekend. The work that you will continue to do for the city of Houston is important. We are moving into budget season. We're definitely looking at more conferences coming to the city of Houston and making sure we are ready for all of that activity that will benefit us as a city and for us economically. So we appreciate your willingness to serve, and if there's anything we can do to assist as you are serving on Houston First, do not hesitate to let us know. But thank you again for your willingness to serve. And Michael, thank you for your leadership. The work that you and Tracy and your entire team does is so value added to the city of Houston. So congratulations, and we appreciate your service.
Councilmember Plummer.
Thank you so much, Mayor. And I also want to congratulate all of you. Mr. Wei Lee, congratulations. It's good. I can't see you, but it's good to have it. There you are.
Why don't we, excuse me if I interrupt, why don't we ask our appointees to come down front?
Thank you, Mayor.
And give you the opportunity to address the council. I'm sorry, Councilman Plummer. I wanted you to see the folks we're talking to.
Yes, congratulations. It's so important what you do. Houston First is a huge economic driver, not only for tourism and conferences, but just letting everyone in the world know how fabulous Houston is. So thank you so much, Michael. Thank you for leading, for being at the helm of this and making sure that we show off Houston the way that we should. I appreciate all of your service.
And then Evan Shabazz. Sorry, Evan Shabazz.
Councilman Evan Shabazz.
Thank you, Mayor, and good morning. Thank you all so much for your service. Of course, I have known Mr. Wei Lee for quite some time. He keeps us informed and a very good friend of the publisher. And so I've had many engagements, but I so look forward to the work that you all are doing. And Michael, you have been just a wonderful addition to the city. You've been here a few years now. It's kind of hard to imagine that, but certainly you and Tracy and the whole Houston First have just been awesome, an awesome driver for the economics for the city. Thank you.
That's it, except I will yield to anyone of you. Michael, you want to put a face on how important these appointments are?
Certainly. And Mayor, I thank you for your engagement and your understanding of our business and driving it forward for what Houston is. And all the council members, thank you for your support of our new members that we have of our board. Our board is an extremely important part of what we do, from oversight to our broad initiatives and objectives of the things that we try to do. And we've always had a great relationship with our board members that we have had. And then, of course, all of the council members. We appreciate all the work that you do from your districts or citywide, and all of the support for an organization like ours that helps drive the brand of Houston, but for the reason of driving value back to our community. We often talk about this, that the reason that we do the work that we do is ultimately to create economic value, which the reason for that is to drive jobs, support jobs, and grow jobs in our community. And that's what our organization, from the board and our chairman, Jay Zeidman, all the way down to our management team, that's what we're focused on every day, Mayor, is making sure that we're working as hard as we can and driving in as much value for our community as we can. And I look forward to working with all of our new board members and the existing board members that we have to continue to have a well-oiled machine moving forward. So thank you.
No particular order, Roxanne. Only if y'all want to, I don't put you on the spot. You didn't know I was going to call on you.
Mayor,
but you're very capable of representing yourself and your appointment.
Mayor, I just want to say thank you to you and the council. I look forward to serving the city and helping promote this wonderful city that we all love. Thank you.
Very good. Nikki?
Good morning. It is such a pleasure to be here and to continue serving on the Houston First Board. We are the destination marketing organization for the city. We take that role extremely serious to bring more visitors and conferences to the area, but your support is critical in getting that done. And thank you for everything you've done, and you will do to continue to support that. Thank you so much.
Very good. Thank you. Wei Lee, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, took me 22 years to come to this podium. Thank you so much. I'm here representing Asian international community. In the last 22 years, we create international district in southwest side of Houston. We try our best going to be continue to promote international affairs and trade around the world. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And Michael, it should be a requirement that our guests from out of town go to the international district. I think we should have regular transportation there. If they haven't, in fact, I would actually invite all Houstonians to visit this dynamic community. But for sure, I think we need to promote it as we are attracting guests to Houston for conventions and shows. So all I can say is let's go to work. Thank y'all. Okay, members, we now will move to a public hearing on tax abatement ordinance. Madam Secretary, will you please call up item 1?
Item 1 is a public hearing regarding proposed amendments to the city's tax abatement ordinance relating to low-impact development projects.
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, Council. I'm Andrew Busker in the Mayor's Office of Economic Development. Texas Tax Code Section 312.002A requires cities to adopt tax abatement guidelines and criteria before entering into tax abatement agreements, and each approved abatement agreement must meet those guidelines. State law also provides that tax abatement guidelines and criteria are effective for 2 years. The city's current tax abatement guidelines and criteria are codified in Article 4 of Chapter 44 of the City Code and will expire on May 19th, 2024. The city desires to continue its eligibility to participate in tax abatements by adopting and amending guidelines and criteria for tax abatements. The city's tax abatement program is one of 8 economic development programs used to compete for or attract capital investment and create or retain jobs. Established in 1988, it has been an effective tool for attracting projects across industries, including data centers, energy industry, manufacturing, distribution, and multifamily housing. Since its establishment, the program has evolved over the years to remain relevant and reflect changing industry and economic dynamics. Examples of prior amendments to the tax abatement guidelines and criteria include the following. In 2016, the amendment encouraged community benefits and expanded the examples of community benefits to include a commitment to provide livable wages, local job recruitment, and affordable workforce housing to receive more favorable consideration of an abatement. In 2018, the amendment expanded on the 2016 amendment and required at least one community benefit in every application, such as local or community job recruiting, hiring from job reentry programs, lower middle skills job training, and paid internships or mentorship programs. In addition, multifamily projects were required to include at least 20% affordable workforce housing units. In 2020, the amendments established a reduced investment and job creation requirement for projects located within qualifying census tracts to leverage the Federal Opportunity Zone program and encourage smaller but equally valuable investments. Created the Green Stormwater Infrastructure Tax Abatement and also increased the abatement percentage available for lead projects. The proposed 2024 amendment to the tax abatement guidelines and criteria includes amending the definition of, quote, total green stormwater infrastructure costs, unquote, in section 44-121 of the city code to increase the value of tax abatement for green stormwater infrastructure involving urban forestry and native ecosystem restoration through the planting of certain trees or shrubs. Pursuant to Chapter 312.002C1 of the Texas Tax Code, before City Council may adopt, amend, repeal, or reauthorize guidelines and criteria for tax abatements, City Council must hold a public hearing at which members of the public are given the opportunity to be heard. Notice of this public hearing was published in the Houston Chronicle on April 26, 2024. The ordinance to amend and adopt the guidelines and criteria will be presented to City Council on May 15, 2024, so no action is required today. Thank you.
Very good. Members, we have one speaker that has signed up. Madam Secretary, will you call? Thank you, sir.
Dominic Mazok.
He was here last week.
Dominic Mazok, I'm at the podium. You get there, you said stay engaged. My thing about this is I actually suggested this in previous administration. But the way it's written, when you make a law, you have to be precise. I understand that because we got lawyers and everything else. I'll try to find a loophole somewhere. But to explain it to the public, you're talking about wastewater, controlling water. Why don't you just say, like, an example? Put an example in this thing. Like, okay, you got Whole Foods on Wall Drive. They have a rainwater system. And I think when you do this, you're going to present this to the public. You got to keep the language precise, but give something that George Jetson will not have to shout Jane at the top of his voice reading this. Okay, I think there was a good explanation, but I think again, example: cisterns for water storage, rainwater storage. Make it simple so that people out on the street can understand what we're doing here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions?
No questions.
Councilman Ramirez.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a question for Andrew if he's still available. Thank you, Andrew. So, Andrew, curious, what happens when companies that receive this abatement do not follow through on what they've agreed to do? For instance, information you guys were kind enough to share for us were that 4 of the abatements we've seen in the recent past were terminated because they didn't meet the requirements. For instance, Aspen Heights failed to get financing for their project. Emerson Process Management failed to meet the job and investment requirements of their agreement. Chevron did not build their office building as planned. Cyrus One failed to provide a statement or affidavit required certifying that they in fact had complied with their agreement. So what happens when they don't follow through with their end of the bargain? Does the city go back and recoup the taxes on the increase in value, or what?
The recapture provisions are outlined in every tax abatement agreement, so we can pull up those specific agreements and tell you what those provisions were.
Do you have that information with you?
I do not have that on hand, so we can talk to your office about that.
Between now and next week when we'll vote?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Council Flickinger.
Can you tell us how many of these agreements that we've actually recouped the money?
Not offhand, no. So we can get back to you on that.
Do you know if we did any last year?
Last year, I believe, with Cyrus One, and I can talk more about that because right now the public hearing is focused on the ordinance itself, not necessarily compliance.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak on the issue? There being no one, is there a motion to close the hearing?
Cass Tatum move to close the hearing.
Motion made and seconded to close the hearing. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion closed. Meeting's closed. Members, I have some business to bring before you. First, I want to give a report on the Kingwood flooding. We're in a recovery mode. I could spend all morning talking about witnessing the hard work of our first responders over the weekend, collaboration of different levels of government, law enforcement, first responders. Councilmember Flickinger was there representing the district, as well as State Representative Cunningham, Senator Brandon Creighton. It's the way government's supposed to work. The collaboration, we were on the phone talking to the San Jacinto River Authority. We were on the phone talking to the Montgomery County officials. We were monitoring the rainfall in Limestone County, in Montgomery County, trying to get the San Jacinto River Authority to release as much water as they have to and maintain the integrity of the Lake Conroe and its dam and protecting its residents. The first responders did what they do best. Our firefighters saved and rescued, with other agencies, 30 individuals. I not only got to see their work of saving lives and property and pets, but I would challenge everyone to see their working conditions. I got a course in seeing the condition of the facilities, the fire stations. There's 4 in Kingwood that were volunteer fire departments. I challenged the press at one press conference, go look at it. The volunteer fire department did not have dormitories. So when the city annexed it, either because partly lack of resources, but I would suggest lack of the proper priorities, we have firefighters sleeping on the floor in Kingwood. They got holes in the ceiling, plywood floors covering up holes. It will be in the CIP. So when we consider where we need to prioritize our spending, the firefighters in Kingwood, and there's other facilities here closer to City Hall, you just don't take care of your employees that way. It's sad that when I talk to General Services, they have to ask me, because that's the rules that they've operated under, can we talk to the union, the fire union, and see what they're hearing at the stations? I said, what do you mean you got to ask me for permission? They weren't allowed to talk under the previous administration. That is not conducive to good government. But back to the Kingwood facilities. Deplorable. Sleeping on the floor, plywood, mold, and in the meantime, they're going out making calls and endangering their lives. They deserve better. Law enforcement. Let me give a shout out to the Constable Mark Herman. He was there around the clock working with the Sheriff's Office, HPD. So we got through the storm. We're in a recovery mode now. We've already used the incident report from this weekend to prepare for the next. My administration, my staff is meeting regularly with the county, TransStar, all the state agencies. We've been in touch with the governor's office, the state emergency centers. So I just want to give a huge shout out to all the first responders from the weekend and challenge you to improve their working conditions and benefits, I might suggest, which I will address that at a later date. I do want to share with you the email that I sent out to all HPD staff, including the officers last night at 12:30. It said, "Good evening. I've accepted the retirement of Troy Finner as Chief of Police, and I've appointed Larry Satterwhite Acting Chief of Police effective at 10/31. The decision comes with full confidence in Acting Chief Satterwhite's abilities to lead and uphold the high standards of our department. I ask everyone to extend their full cooperation and support to Acting Chief Satterwhite during his transitional period. Thank you for what you do on behalf of Houstonians every day. Thank you for standing the watch. Be safe, Mayor Whitmire." That was received by HPD staff, including officers. It applies to all of us. I hope we'll support the agency. Chief Satterwhite, who most of you know, he was testifying at Committee on Quality of Life issues the other day extensively. I've worked with him for years. He's been on the department for 34 years. He was actually the acting chief when Chief Finner would leave town. So I know the department and Houstonians are in good keeping with Chief Satterwhite. I want to thank Chief Finner for his many years of public service. I'll have more to say probably in a press availability as how this transpired, but it's my responsibility to provide public safety for all Houstonians, and the decision was made. With that said, I'll be available for questions later. Let's move to the Secretary. We'll proceed with the consent agenda.
Under the miscellaneous category, item 4 needs a motion.
Cass Tatum move. Thomas second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion passes.
Under the except word category, item 6 has been removed for separate consideration. Item 5 needs a motion.
Cass Tatum move.
Motion second. Made and seconded. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion passes.
Under the purchasing and tabulation of bids category, item 9 has been removed for separate consideration. Item 7 is an ordinance. Item 8 through 16 need a motion.
Cass Tatum move. Thomas second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion passes.
And item 7 is an ordinance. Just need a vote.
All in favor? Those opposed? Motion passes.
Under the ordinances category, items 22, 23, and 35 have been pulled and will not be considered. The items again are 22, 23, and 35 have been pulled and will not be considered. Items removed for separate consideration, 19, 24, 31, 38, 41, and 42. Those numbers again are 19, 24, 31, 38, 41, and 42. Need a vote on the balance.
All in favor? Those opposed? Motion passes. Item 6,
Item 6 needs a motion.
Castex Tatum move. On the second.
motion made and second. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion passes.
Item 9 needs a motion.
Councilmember Thomas.
Councilmember Thomas.
Good morning. Mayor, I support this item with the Department of Neighborhoods for the emergency purchase, but I'm curious, has the department prioritized certain projects in terms of abatement with weed and debris, or is this something that, can come from a council office to request if we identify something outside of the scope of the HOT team? I just want to know what's available to council offices to access this contract.
I don't see the director with us this morning, but I'll certainly put you in contact with him. He's new director, but years of experience. So
sure,
I'm sure he's got his system in place, and I'll put you in contact with him.
I know the director. I just didn't know if there was a particular scope related to this outside of.
Quite frankly, in my judgment, that's the reason he's a director. He's going to have to make those decisions based on his resources.
I'll just talk to him. Okay.
Very good.
Councilmember Hoffman.
Councilmember Hoffman. I'll tag it.
Okay.
With discussion.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm also very excited about this item. I met with a group of constituents yesterday who they identified some areas where debris needs to be removed, and so I look forward to utilizing this.
Very good. I'm sitting here thinking, kind of like the discussion about crime yesterday, the hot spots. We have a lot of hot spots as it comes to these conditions as well, particularly with recent rains. There's more hot spots today than there probably was last week. Councilmember Plummer.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just, I wanted to acknowledge I had a conversation about using minority MWBEs on contracts like this. When we do emergency orders, there typically it's not solicited, and this one actually was. There were some challenges with some bids that came through. So I've been assured that the next time it goes out, it will not be an emergency contract, and it will be there will be an MWBE requirement.
Very good. Items tagged. Next.
Item 17 is a resolution. Just need a vote.
All in favor? Those opposed? Motion passes.
Item 18 is a resolution. Just need a vote.
All in favor? Those opposed? Motion passes.
Item 19 is an ordinance. Just need a vote.
Councilmember Peck.
Councilmember Peck, Assistant Mayor Pro Tem Peck.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the ordinance change to allow any biodegradable bags to be used for yard waste, and allows for the use of personal reusable containers too. People have been asking for this for a very long time. The city approved yard waste bags are expensive. They break down on people's lawns. They're not good. And so people have really been wanting this change for a very long time. It's an item that I intended to put on the agenda, but after speaking with you, Mayor, you agreed to put it on the agenda. Still support the charter amendment to allow council members to put items on the agenda, but I was happy that we were able to work together on this one. It's a small change, but it's going to make a big impact for people. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for your suggestion. This is probably the way it should work and will work if we all work together.
Just need a vote.
All in favor? Those opposed? Motion passes.
Item 24 is an ordinance. Just need a vote.
All in favor? Those opposed?
Councilmember Thomas, hold on.
Councilmember Thomas.
Mayor, I support this item. Again, my question is more about clarity around the dangerous buildings and appropriating these dollars. Are there prioritized dangerous buildings that this will apply to?
Underground storage tank.
And dangerous buildings.
Yes, ma'am.
This is for city facilities and dangerous buildings.
Yes, ma'am.
So, because I have some dangerous buildings in the queue, so if we're appropriating these funds, if I can get them off the line for demolition, that's what I'm curious about 24. I can friendly tag until next week.
Because I don't have that information. That's fine. That's not
Yeah, if you want to tag it, go
Okay.
for it.
All right, thank you. Thomas Tag.
Item 31 is an ordinance. Just need a vote.
All in favor? Those opposed? Motion passes.
Item 35 is an ordinance. Just need a vote.
All in favor? Those
Oh. Item 38 is an ordinance. Just need a vote.
All in favor? Those opposed? Motion passes.
Item 41 is an ordinance. Just need a vote.
Councilmember Flickinger?
Thank you, Mayor. Obviously, I support this. Just wanted to take a couple moments to point out some information. The flooding that we had up around San Jacinto River and over the dam was built in 1953. We desperately need this money to do improvements to the dam. At the time, I think there's about 600,000 people in Houston. This water serves 2 million residences and businesses today. I think a lot of people think this is kind of a Kingwood problem, and it's really not. I mean, this is the water for the city. This is a big deal for all of us. And we came perilously close to having a lot of homes flooded here last week. The river actually crested 2 feet below what it was forecast at, which was pretty surprising because with the water levels in the river and when they recede and all that, they pretty well nail those. And I think the biggest difference in that 2 feet was the large amount of dredging that had been done since Harvey. Dave Martin obviously had spearheaded a lot of that, and there's a lot of other people that worked on that. Congressman Crenshaw got us the money for that. I mean, it's really appreciated. And just want to make sure everybody realizes how important this is, not just to the people in Kingwood, but to the entire city, because, again, this is our drinking water. I saw Tom Ramsey on TV voicing loud criticism of the building codes and what they're doing in Montgomery County, along with how the water was released out of San Jacinto River Authority. Flooding is not a local issue. That is a regional issue, and we've got to work with them to try and get better agreements on the water and how it flows and how it impacts everybody downriver. So with that, I just wanted to comment that. Thank you.
Very good. Well said.
Councilmember Carter.
Councilmember Carter.
Councilmember Flickinger, thank you for your leadership on this, certainly as it impacts my community as well. And Mayor, thank you for continuing to bring the spotlight to our community and recognize that not only is the regional flooding issue, regional flooding, not just Kingwood, regional flooding affects all of us, but also to thank you for your earlier comments on our first responders and their conditions, our firefighters up there. You know, I challenge everyone here to go take a look at their living conditions. And when in an emergency like we just saw, they step up, they show up, and they never stop. So thank you for continuing. As Commissioner Ramsey said, this is a regional problem, and we need to address it as such. And you know, when the Lake Houston Dam was built, Kingwood wasn't in existence. You know, so it's time to step that up and get it up to speed for not only Kingwood, but the rest of Houston and Harris County. Thank you.
That's all.
Very good. Need a vote on item 41. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries.
Item 42 is an ordinance. Just need a vote.
All in favor? Those opposed? Motion passes. Item 52.
Item 52 needs a motion.
Castex Tatum move.
Thomas second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Evans Shabazz?
Councilmember Evans Shabazz.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to highlight this item and thank James Guilford III for his service. We really anticipate that he will do some great things. In reading his resume, of course, I saw that he's a Prairie View graduate, which continues with the line of Prairie View produces productive people, right, Councilmember Thomas? He's also an alpha man, and so certainly I know that makes Stephen in my office very, very happy, but certainly we look forward to his service, and I thank you, Councilmember Thomas, for allowing me the opportunity to speak on behalf of this appointment, and thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Not item 53?
Item 53 needs a motion.
Castex Tatum move.
Thomas second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion passes.
Item 54 is an ordinance. Just need a vote.
Councilmember Ramirez.
Thank you, Mayor. So this item pertains to an amendment to an agreement involving the Child Care Council of Greater Houston. Tagged this last week to get additional information. We did receive some information, but we did not receive all the information that we had requested, and so I will not be supporting this item, nor will I be supporting 55.
Very good.
Just need a vote.
Vote on item 54. All in favor?
Tag.
Councilmember Pollard tags.
He was not here last week.
Item 55.
Tag.
Tag. Councilmember
This
Pollard.
completes the items on the agenda.
That's a record.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Keep it going.
Okay, members, Popoff. Councilmember Huffman.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, the first responders did an incredible job with the rain that we saw come through. One of the officers in Kingwood, Officer Scott, there's a video on YouTube of him rescuing these 3 dogs from the floodwater. Check it out. What is good to know is that the HPD body-worn cameras operate underwater. I wasn't necessarily aware of that, but great job to all of them. And then with the transition to Acting Chief Satterwhite, I look forward to supporting him, and I just want HPD to know that here on City Council, we are here to support, Chief Satterwhite, and we look forward to his success. And then, finally, like the mayor said yesterday, there are hot spots all over Houston. No part of Houston is exempt from crime. And in District G over the weekend, Saturday night, 6 p.m. in the evening, a Houston attorney in his 40s, he's at McDonald's, and there's a customer upset about his curbside order. And Jeff Limmer tried to kind of de-escalate the situation. And the suspect went out to his car, got a gun, came back in and murdered him. And it's just, when we see things like this happen in our city, it's devastating, absolutely. So, we need to continue to aggressively pursue these violent offenders that are wreaking havoc on our city, and my heart goes out to their family.
Very good. I'd just reinforce what you said. There were 4 shootings last night. What struck me is that they were one in each quadrant of the city with 1 death. Also, there was a serious road rage, which I think you could call a kind of a moving hotspot, which we have to address with more traffic enforcement, get the repeat violent offenders off the street. So, yes, I think it would be accurate to say we have more hot spots right now than we can cover with the lack of resources that we have. And as I addressed earlier, the retirement of Chief Fenner part of the consideration is that the current investigations and suspended cases had become such a distraction that I was convinced that the department had lost some of its focus to address the hot spots and response time, and I could go through a list of things that I think were being interrupted because of the time spent and the new revelations on those investigations. So thank you for bringing this to our attention. We will do everything, including overtime, to address the hot spots. Next, Member Ramirez.
Thank you, Mayor. So Sunday is Mother's Day, so I just want to wish all the mothers happy Mother's Day and pay tribute to my own mom, who raised 7 kids, including me, and paid a very heavy physical and mental price for it. So grateful for all that she accomplished. She grew up on a farm in Fort Bend County during the Depression, and her own mother passed away when she was a teenager, and so she was left to raise her younger sibling and do all the things that her mother would have done had she been there. So grateful for her sacrifice, and again, wish all the mothers in Houston a happy Mother's Day on Sunday. Thought about the flooding in Kingwood and Humboldt and Atascocita. A heart goes out to all those folks who have been affected by that. Have a lot of friends up there. I would say that it could have been a lot worse. That's not any comfort to those who got flooded out of their homes. I've been watching the news reports, and they almost all say that, well, here is Houston flooding again. And as I think about it, a lot of that flooding was north of Houston. A lot of the pictures and footage I saw were actually from places like Conroe and such, but nonetheless, Houston's going to get portrayed as having another flood. And I struggle to think about what we could have done differently that would have averted some of this damage. And I can't really think of too much. Again, that's not a consolation to those who have been affected, but this wasn't really the city's fault. That's not to say we shouldn't continue to look for ways to improve things and to mitigate the flooding risk. And I hope that the governmental entities that are north of us will take Commissioner Ramsey's thoughts to heart and do their part to ensure that we don't flood as a result of their inaction. Thank you.
Councilmember Thomas.
Thank you so much. Mr. Mayor, Saturday we hosted the very first Tour of the West, our first bike ride on the West Side, and I want to thank all of our partners, of course, HPD, particularly Assistant Chief Bashir, Trek Bikes, West Chase Management District, Houston Parks Board, Champions Club, Sewa International, Neighborhood to Trail, Ciclistas del Barrio, and my District F staff. Of course, we have more than 40-plus riders, and there's definitely an appetite for more community engagement through bike ridership. Before I move on to constituent issues, I do want to acknowledge and wish the very best to Chief Troy Finner. He served the city, as you mentioned, for 25-plus years. He's carried a lot on his back. He's homegrown from our neighborhoods, from our police department. Had the pleasure of working with him through the peak of the pandemic, social and civil unrest of George Floyd, peaks of catalytic converter thefts, all the way to after-hour ordinances. He's contributed greatly to our city, and I wish him nothing but a peaceful and pleasant retirement. With that, I also welcome and support Chief Satterwright, who's no stranger to the West Side, and who has visited with me in my offices and have dealt with our priorities throughout the year. So congratulations to him, and I look forward to your permanent appointment after you make your decisions about the police department. With that said, earlier in the year, I brought to your attention growing concerns about street flea markets, and what we're seeing now on Bissonnette and Cook, it's turning into a full-on flea market. And so I know you mentioned that your administration was interested in doing a slow-walking process. I really want to touch base on that again because it's becoming overbearing. it's becoming overbearing, and so we need to have a conversation on how we address this. What's coming up at these flea markets are possibly the potential of stolen items. And so as these individuals are selling merchandise, flea market, they're carrying cash money, I'm concerned that they may be a public safety target. And so I really want to walk that process through so we can mitigate that. I also want to just put on the radar of constituents, our summer of safety will be released and announced in June, as June is Public Safety Month. And then again, with those two items, one particular item with Dawn, a member from your staff has already reached out to my office. Dawn is willing to accept requests from the district office, and so we're going to work through how they prioritize that so we can get those projects over. And then lastly but not least, my chief of staff is graduating with his master's of social work. Give him a round of applause. Yay, Isaac! He's been carrying a graduate load and putting up with me. That's a good man. That's a good man. So show him some love. He's done very well managing a full load, academic load, and a full load in the District F office. So congratulations, sir, for all of your contributions to the West Side and to City Hall. Thank you much.
Very well. Mayor Pro Tem Castix Tatum.
Thank you, Mayor Whitmire. Today I'd like to use my pop-off time to really thank Troy Fenner for his 34 years of service. Quite frankly, I've got mixed emotions about it all. Chief Fenner, in my opinion, has operated in the highest level of integrity. For 34 years, he served HPD, and I did not want his 34 years of dedicated service to not be recognized by this council, by this city. I've been looking at social media, and I've gotten several text messages and calls in support of Chief Fenner and his work that he has given to this city. He's led us through some challenging times in the city of Houston. He stood on the front lines when we were going through some really tough times in the city of Houston. And I wanted to recognize him for his dedicated service to our city. I think that, we deal with tough things in our cities, and I know we have to make tough decisions, and I know he had to make a tough decision, but I did not want his 34 years of dedicated service to go unrecognized from this council dais, because he sat before us, he's given us the updates, and I know that he has worked diligently to try to address the safety concerns of Houstonians and to work collaboratively with the administrations that he has worked with through his 34 years of service to maintain the highest level of integrity for the Houston Police Department. And those jobs are tough. They are very tough, but Chief Fenner has also been tough. And I wanted to thank him for his work and for all that he has done for the city of Houston, and let him know that we support him, wish him the very best. He has always been the consummate professional in the Houston Police Department, and I don't expect anything less as we transition with Interim Chief Satterwhite, Mayor. And so today I'd like to dedicate my pop-off to Chief Troy Fenner and thank him for his 34 years of dedicated service to the city of Houston.
Thank you. Well said, and I concur with your remarks. Thank you. Next, Vice Mayor Pro Tem Peck.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'm hoping that we can get an update about the timeline for storm debris collection in District A. I mean, obviously, Kingwood, that's priority, for pickups, but we did have a lot of wind that came through with the storm and trees that were knocked down, and so we did ask the Solid Waste Department about collections and hoping to get an update on the timeline for that. Also, heavy trash has not been picked up for about a month in my district in some places, and so then with the storm as well, it just has added to the piles. So it would be great to get a timeline so that we can get that out to our constituents. Next, the first Public Safety Committee meeting will be on Tuesday, May 14th at 10 o'clock a.m. We'll have two presentations. The first will be from Fire Chief Samuel Pena. He will have a presentation about the pre-hospital whole blood program and the mobile stroke unit. And then also the Houston Forensic Science Center President and CEO, Dr. Peter Stout, will give a presentation about the property room and an update there. So please join us for that important, those important presentations. And then finally, I wanted to wish a happy Mother's Day to my mom. I know she's watching. She watches all of the council meetings, and so happy Mother's Day. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Martinez.
Thank you, Mayor. So first, I want to start off by letting folks in the East End know that this tomorrow we're hosting a infrastructure meeting with partnership with Councilmember Castillo and the East End District, and it's an opportunity to really get a good understanding of all the projects that are happening currently in the East End, but also some that are coming in the next coming year and years. It's tomorrow, May 9th, 5:30 at the HCC Felix Fraga campus. That's 301 North Drennan. Also want to make sure that folks in the Vietnamese villages in more southeast Houston, District I, let them know that we are hosting a town hall at the Saigon condo from 10 to 1. It's an opportunity here to make sure that our Vietnamese population community within District I can also receive information on health, safety, and get connected and more informed with what's going on at the city. Also want to wish a happy Mother's Day to my mother, of course my wife as well, and to all the mothers around the Horseshoe and throughout Houston. We really can't do much without our mothers, and so just want to make sure that we recognize them. Feliz Dia de las Madres también. Want to thank our CHIP intern, Braden, who finished up his last week actually, and so it's a great program where University of Houston students come in and learn what's happening within our offices, but then also take those real life experiences into their next professional setting. And so, and finally, I definitely want to also make sure I recognize Chief Finner. The relationship that I've had with Chief Finner as a staffer, but even in my first 4 months in office, he's always been a man of his word, a man that will definitely make sure that he's taking care of it and looking at the community first and foremost. So I want to make sure that we recognize his commitment and service to the city of Houston, but also want to make sure that we recognize Interim Chief Satterwhite. He's overseen a lot of parts of District I over the last 5-10 years, the patrol division specifically, and so want to make sure that we recognize Chief Satterwhite and look forward to working with them as well. Thank you, Mayor.
I said, Councilmember Pollard.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm definitely very disheartened with the news of Chief Finner resigning. I think we all hold him in a very high respect. I want to thank him for his service. I want to thank him for his sacrifice and his contributions to the city. When the previous chief left, kind of in the middle of the night, during a very challenging time for Houstonians, Chief Finner was appointed to that position, got us through a lot of social and civil unrest, got us through a pandemic, a winter storm Uri, many of the issues that came with those circumstances. He's shown tremendous leadership as the chief of police. And I know that there was some controversy regarding the suspended cases, and I mentioned previously that we can't tolerate that. We have to make sure that when people make reports that we do respond. But I do think he was truthful, and when he said that, to his recollection, he doesn't remember anything beyond 2021. And I think an email was shown that something came out in 2018 when he was an assistant chief, and he said it shouldn't be done and to move on or something like that. But I don't think he knew that was a code at the time. Nothing in the emails referenced a code. And you're moving so fast when we get all these emails that I don't want that to be held against him. And I want to take his word for it that 2021 is when he remembers getting notified of that. So I want to thank you, Chief, for your contributions and your service and your leadership to our city. And Interim Chief Satterwhite has always been the utmost professional as well, and I look forward to working with him. Yesterday, I mentioned hot spots when we're talking about how do we cure some of the crime in our districts, in our city. And when I mean hot spots, I mean places that we can identify as council members. Yes, all of District J has a lot of crime all over it, just like many of our districts. But I can give you 2 or 3 places that we could start there. Yes, it's other places that are dealing with some public safety issues, but I can give you 2 or 3 places just to start. And I think that is what the public wants to see, is a short-term solution until we can figure out some of the long-term solutions. And I do think we have enough resources with all these substations spread out all over the city that if the council members or someone from the public that we hold in high regard says, hey, just focus on this street. We understand that all of the streets have issues, but this is the most priority street. I think we will see some of the trends go in the right direction when it comes to addressing some of the public safety initiatives. And my final comments will be directed to the city attorney. This past Monday, the city controller made a presentation regarding the firefighters' proposed agreement. He put forth scenarios showing that based on his calculations, the settlement values could be between $110 million and $380 million. I know that's a stark difference than the $650 million that's proposed right now. What formula did you all use in your negotiations to get to the $650? What mathematical formula gets you there?
These talks were during a mediation, so we relied on our experts' calculations that have not been made public in terms of where they thought the range could be. And so that's where we determined the number. And we view the number of 650 as the equivalent of about $476 million if it were to be a base pay award, because there is no pension contribution on that.
And you previously mentioned that the $650 million proposed settlement was used with a public sector standard and not a private sector standard. Is that accurate?
Well, that's how both of the parties agreed to attempt to mediate. But I think it allowed the firefighters, I think, to drop from the higher figure that you've seen reported in the media in excess of $1 billion. But ultimately, there's a specter of, if you can't reach an agreement and you have to go to court or an arbitration panel, you are looking at a private sector standard. So it in a sense, it incorporated both ways of looking at it.
And was the fire union ever presented a contract between fiscal year 18 and 21 that just wasn't able to get approved or they did not agree upon?
As I understand it, the negotiations since the last one expired have always been, the collective bargaining negotiations have always been each side presenting specific articles.
Was an offer ever presented with percentage increases or pay increases?
Yes, I think both sides exchanged offers on that.
Do you recall what the city offered?
I'd have to go back and look. I also need to confirm the confidentiality. I know in the past those have not been released until something has been presented to the union for a vote. But I'll look into that.
But an offer was presented?
Yes, both sides, yes.
Thank you.
Councilor Plummer.
Thank you, Mayor. And I want to join my colleagues that have been on this dais with me with the previous administration and acknowledge Chief Fenner. We went through a lot in the city of Houston during the time that he was here. And it's emotional because, our previous chief literally, like Councilman Paulo, literally left in the middle of the night and left a mess. And I know that Chief Fenner is the chief, and when you're the chief, you have to stand tall and you have to deal with, what comes your way. But he is the most dignified man that I know. And it has been an honor to serve with him. He has protected the city in times that I don't know if the city of Houston will ever see the challenges that we've seen, from social justice issues to a city shutting down to domestic violence at levels that we'll probably never see, historical highs. He has always answered our call, always. And people can talk about things and they can challenge things, and I know that we have to do our job, and there's no excuse for us not taking care of communities. But I really hope that the previous chief, as these investigations are happening,
that he is held accountable to. This was not all done on one person's watch. And I don't know how this is going to shake down, and I clearly acknowledge the families in all the previous cases. I mean, I never want any cases to not be dealt with properly. But Chief Fenner is a man of integrity, and I just want to make sure, I mean, a lot of you are new on this horseshoe, but the ones that have been here have been through a mess in the city of Houston, and Chief Fenner really protected us, and so I want to acknowledge him first and foremost. So thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief, for everything that you did, and thank you for protecting the city of Houston. And I want to obviously, congratulate Interim Chief Satterwhite. I look forward to working with you or whoever the mayor decides to be our final chief. I want to, so on a different note, I want to acknowledge, Councilmember Flickinger for the work that you did in Kingwood. I want to acknowledge our first responders. I know it was a rough ride for you, couple months in, and I know that under your leadership and under our first responders and the administration, I know that they're going to be protected and taken care of. So well done on your first challenge, big challenge in the city of Houston. Flooding is imminent. It's going to happen regardless of what we do. And I had the honor to tour the Shepherd-Durham project, Mayor. I gave you a quick call after that tour. It was very enlightening. And as we look at our budget and the challenges that we're going to see fiscally, with all the people that are saying that they don't want phase 2 potentially to happen, and saving the trees in Montrose and all of those issues, and we don't need bike lanes, and we don't need walkability, and we don't need sidewalks, and we need more cars, and whatever else everyone is saying, what I want everyone to understand is that these projects are not bikeways and they're not walkability only. They are infrastructure. They are the creations of infrastructure that the city of Houston does not have. We don't have the resources to put in flood mitigation projects. We are in a rough financial time. And so I really hope Mayor I really hope Mayor Whitmire, my apologies, my extreme apologies for that. I really hope that we can, look at phase 2 and push that forward. This money is not coming from the city of Houston. This is TERS dollars, and it's infrastructure that we need as we're entering hurricane season and all the other disasters that we're going to see coming forward. And so I want to thank the Shepherd-Durham folks for giving me a great tour, and obviously looking forward to seeing that Montrose project move forward as well. Had a really interesting last couple of days. I've never had to call 911 before, and I called 911 the first time on Friday, and it's devastating when you call 911. I mean, it's really scary. My girlfriend had a car accident, and it was terrifying. And so I wanted to acknowledge our 911 responders. They answered the phone and got her help that she needed. And I also want to acknowledge Fire Station 7. They were there. They took care of her. The ambulance got her to the hospital in time. And she's going to be okay. But I just really want to acknowledge our first, because for the first time I had that experience. And when you have someone that you love that could potentially be in a challenge, and you call 911, and they're all there, and they show up, and they do this amazing job to make sure that they're safe. I just really want to thank the fire station on Elgin, Fire Station 7, to being there to helping my friend on Friday. And two other pieces. Riverside, obviously, y'all heard yesterday, Riverside is having some challenges, and I want to urge the unification of our public safety entities, right? I know all this, oftentimes the funding is separate, and we kind of are responsible for different spaces because so many people are in that space, whether it be college, police, HPD, constables, sheriffs, all those entities. I just want to see if there's any way, some kind of way that we can work together in unison versus working in silos. But I understand it's a tough ask when it comes to public safety. But it's all of our responsibilities to make sure that we're all safe in the city of Houston. And the last but not least, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in the dais. To all the mothers in the city of Houston, and happy Mother's Day to my mom. Thank you.
Thank you. I hesitate to go to some of your subjects because it's very involved. But let me just share with you one of the dilemmas that you may or may not have considered. At the Shepherd-Durham, there's a clash of interests. You know I've represented the area 51 years. I know for a fact that TxDOT designed Shepherd to relieve traffic off of 45. Little York and Shepherd has a flyover coming over 45 to relieve the pressure on 45. $24 million. Then you have a clash, so you have the mobility issue. Then you have a clash, I would call it 19th and Shepherd. In 81, 19th and Shepherd was totally boarded up. I made it a Main Street project. City and state came together, collaborated, and it's a vibrant area today. So you have the clash of the retail, and it's very pretty because it's all new, 10-foot sidewalks on both sides. I could argue it's an equity issue as well because we're allowing the tourists to do 10-foot sidewalks, and Denver Harbor still wants their first sidewalk as well as Acres Home. So there are a lot of competing interests. I would suggest, yes, federal money is important, but some of the same proponents of doing Durham and Shepherd further were the same folks that blocked the expansion of 45, which was going to be a $10 billion project. So I'm trying to bring the competing interests together. The TERS doesn't appear to want to compromise. I'm listening to Garden Oaks, Oak Forest, Acres Home, Aldine, 249 feeds into West Montgomery, that huge part of North Harris County, West Montgomery over to Shepherd. It relieves the traffic on 610, I-10, and allows people to go to work and school. Some of the TERS proponents don't even live anywhere near there. So, as you can only imagine, my job is challenging. I accept that. I look forward to coming to work every day. But we can have people coming before this council, whether it's mobility or even the firefighters' compensation, and mislead and do hypotheticals, Monday morning quarterback, to talk about our overtime rules are different than other departments. Do you know that it's in state statute what Houston firefighters will work weekly? So you'd have to get the statute changed. The comparison of private departments, public departments, does make a huge difference. All I'm simply saying is, and I've chaired meetings most of my adult life, at the state level, we actually say, sign here that what you say, one, that's who you are, and your address and phone and identity. Also, that you're going to give testimony to the best of your knowledge is truthful. You can't have folks come up here and mislead and use misinformation on public policy. I'll listen to everyone. We had folks yesterday asking to meet with me. We've already started scheduling that. But I don't just pull ideas out of the air. The Durham Shepherd is very serious. The city's administration, before I got here, called it an experiment. Yeah, it's an experiment. You ought to go look at 5 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning traffic. I represent the entire city that has to go to work and school. The folks that want to experiment with people's mobility have a challenge on their hands. And it's about public safety, first responders being able to navigate those thoroughfares. And if everybody will just come to the table and be open and transparent, I think we've got a real solution. It's not just there. There are other. Legacy Clinic will tell you on Hillcroft they can't get to their clinic because of the design. What am I supposed to do, not listen to that? I hope we all listen to it. One of the more popular things I've done, maybe surprise a couple of you, is a Houston, Washington redesign. It was quickly done, very inexpensive. It's been done properly. It's safe. When they got to the infrastructure below Houston Avenue, they found gas lines that were supposed to be 6 feet deep were 6 inches deep. So we're making improvements by being objective in bringing everyone to the table. So, like I said, there's a lot going on. I was obviously tied up yesterday during council with some transition at HPD, but whether it's firefighters' compensation, it does disappoint me that the very Monday after they saved lives over the weekend, words matter, that people were trashing their future compensation. Even made the comment that if the city would have paid them more in the last 8 years, we wouldn't be looking at such a debt. Really? If we had recruited more in the last 8 years, we'd have larger cadet classes. I've told you, I spoke to 31 a couple of months ago. We're badly under-resourced in personnel, fire, and police. So thank you. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak and address some of these issues. There's no just the right or wrong way to deal with some of these. And quite frankly, looking back, people were not able to raise their objections. You know it, I know it. And so all I can say is I ran to bring people together. I could address Chief Finner. I have probably ridden with Chief Finner more than anyone at the Horseshoe. He spent more time at my kitchen table than probably anyone that is sitting here. He's an outstanding individual and has done great things for the city and will be recognized for that. But I have to deal with interruptions. I have to deal with reopening of investigations and morale and transparency. So yes, I was sick when I saw the recent email, but I don't have time to be sick. I have to protect this city and lead, and it can't be driven by personality. Chief Finner is a friend, and it was very painful to see someone retire in the middle of his assignment. Tough decisions. Chief Satterwhite will do an outstanding job. He was the choice of Chief Finner when Chief Finner would leave the city. So we have huge responsibilities, whether it's hot spots, whether it's flooding, mobility, and I think we're going to be just fine if we'll come together, not try to divide this city, but realize we're all in this together. So thank you, and I will call on Councilman Carter at this time.
I, too, just wanted to take a moment and thank Chief Finner. While I haven't been at this Horseshoe that long, I've known him for many years, and he is one fine individual and a shining star in our city and on our police force. He's done a fine job, and I echo the sentiments of everyone around the Horseshoe who's worked with him through all the adversity in the city. But, you know, we've been talking today about law enforcement, first responders, bike rides on the west side, public events, and all of those places where we need first responders and we need law enforcement. And truly, we need more first responders and more law enforcement. So we have to continue to focus on recruiting and bringing new members to the team, because we need those teams not only in a time of need, but also on a day-to-day. And let's talk about hotspots. 1605 Potomac, Unit A. I've got fresh video of a busload of prostitutes Sunday morning being dropped off, and, you know, the great Ring camera, you know, one's got a gun, I got a gun, she's saying to the pimp, excuse me, but that's exactly what it is. And so we've got hot spots that we've identified. And so, you know, the media is here today. Focus on a few of these hot spots that we've brought out in the past few weeks. We've had residents who've come to complain about hot spots that they know about. But again, we all know there are hot spots, but in order to address the hot spots, we've got to have more law enforcement and more first responders. June is Public Safety Awareness Month. You know, let's bring out the teams to recruit new blood and make that a key focus for us. And just again, thank you to all of you who do what you do every day. We're all passionate about our beliefs, our concerns, whether it's flooding, first responders, law enforcement, but it takes all of us. I hate to it takes all of us working together to make it happen. And it's going to continue to take our efforts of pulling the wagon, and it's not always a light load, but we've got to keep pushing forward and do the right thing for our city, not for us individually, but for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Shabazz, Kevin Shabazz.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to express my appreciation for the excellent quality of life meeting held this week. I want to thank you, Councilmember Ramirez, for your leadership. And this meeting was pivotal in addressing ongoing quality of life and sound issues that affect our residents. And I look forward to the day when I don't have to get an email or something from my constituents, and they could, other than to tell me that they had a nice, quiet weekend. But I certainly thank you for your leadership. I want to invite everyone to our inaugural Arts and Culture Committee meeting, which will be held today in Chambers at 2 p.m. And I want you to join me and Vice Chair Councilmember Castillo as we lead this meeting, and we look forward to promoting our city's rich artistic heritage and exploring new opportunities for cultural development. On Saturday, there will be a Third Ward on Tap Festival, which will be from 10 to 2 p.m. on the corner of Truxillo Street and Briley Street. It is a celebration that we all enjoy, where everyone can come out and enjoy the activities. There's also a Teen and Police Service Academy Summer Youth Leadership Institute, which will be at the University of Houston campus from June 10th to June 28th. And so we're asking that the parents, you enroll your children, 13 to 17. It will be from Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 at the University of Houston College of Education at 832-283-5318. You can certainly call my office to get information. Now, of course, I want to acknowledge the service of Chief Troy Fenner. As he steps down, I want to extend my deepest gratitude for his leadership, particularly during challenging times of the pandemic. As a new council member during this period, his support was invaluable in navigating complexities and striving to keep crime rates low in our district, which we proudly call the District of Destination. He came and sat personally in front of my home, he and the police force, when my own peace of my neighborhood was threatened. I was threatened with a protest, and he made sure that the safety of my community was certainly kept. I want to challenge anyone sitting anywhere that can remember one email back in 2018. I just want to just say that I think I would have a very difficult time remembering whether it was 2018, 2019, 2020. But what was consistent here was the fact that he said it was unacceptable. And so I just want to challenge you to think yourselves as we criticize and look at the humanness of someone else as to whether they or you would be able to remember with accuracy when you receive something of that nature. But again, his consistency was there in saying that it was unacceptable, and that has been his consistent sentiment. My community has given an outpouring of sentiments, and I just want to say that he always responded via text or whatever. He was recently in my community walking the streets, talking to business owners and people to try to keep them safe and let us know that we need to move forward. I wore my blue today to commemorate the service of Chief Troy Fenner. His commitment to our city has been unwavering, and his efforts have significantly contributed to our community's safety and well-being. He is already sorely missed. I know of no other police chief, and I know many, and I respect them all, but he had so much respect of not just the people, but the ranks. And I certainly hope that everything goes well for him, and I will miss him personally and professionally, and certainly, again, think on your own self. Point your own finger back at yourself to determine what you would remember. And so I want to end this with a happy Mother's Day to the aunts and mother figures. And certainly we will move forward in prayer because this is what we need in the city to be able to fight these challenges with. We need prayer and compassion. And so I thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity to speak from the District of Destination.
Yes, ma'am. Councilman Castillo.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to thank Chief Finner for his service to the city of Houston and keeping Houstonians safe and his commitment to public safety. My time working with him was brief, but he was always sincere in his efforts and his willingness to be active with the needs of District H and making sure we had the resources to keep our community safe. And I look forward to working with Interim Chief Satterwhite. Mayor, you mentioned a couple of things recently that I want to follow up on. One was the Houston Avenue project, now that it's redesigned. I know there was a commitment to study that intersection now that the configuration's restored to see if there is actually a pedestrian improvement that could be done. I do want to make sure that we see that through and want to work with y'all on making sure that study gets done. And, you talked about information and transparency related to the firefighter agreement, and I know a couple of us have asked for more documents, more information. My question is, I know we're still involved in that litigation and working those things out. Could we go into an executive session to get more information, ask more questions? Is that a possibility?
Well, obviously, the city attorney sitting to your left, you can ask him to get a quick answer. But the bottom line is we're under direction of the court. In fact, it was probably violated numerous times Monday in terms of we're still in mediation. We're under court order to not share that information, and we're going to honor it. But, the city attorney sitting you on the left.
We're trying to do what we can to expedite, to get council the information it's waiting for, but by charter, we cannot have an executive session. The city of Houston cannot, so that prevents us from doing that.
Got it.
Our charter says we can't have.
Good to get clarity on that.
I'm told by a good source that our charter prevents executive sessions, so, there again, it's easy to make these suggestions and talk hypotheticals and speculations and be a Monday morning quarterback, but the reality is we have authorities we have to listen to and follow. So I share your concern.
Well, I think it would be helpful, as soon as we can get it. That way we can get facts out there.
Sure.
And
you think I don't want them out? Transparency is our best friend.
I hear you on that.
The truth will set you free. You understand that? And
absolutely.
In terms of negotiations, and you can't rewrite history. We're here in this dilemma, if you want to call it that we can't open up the record because for 8 years it hadn't been resolved. And it would have been a lot more affordable 8 years ago than it is now. And it's just amazing that someone would say, if we'd just done it right in the last 8 years, it'd be cheaper today. Yeah. And anyway, we're going to get there. The settlement has not been put together or proposal without knowing what the next step would be.
Got it. Thank you for the clarification on that. One announcement that I wanted to share involving Latinos for Education. They have a Aspiring Latino Leaders and Latinx Teacher Fellowship Program. Applications are due on May 10th, and if you're interested in creating impact through governance, community engagement, advocacy, or policy, I would encourage you to apply. They had a really great cohort that just graduated. A lot of their fellows have gone on to take on meaningful roles in the education space, and it's really impactful and successful. And finally, I do want to wish a happy Mother's Day to my mom, all other moms in District H, and also a very happy birthday to my husband, Joel, who's celebrating his birthday today. Thank you.
Councilman Pollard.
David, he'll do it. He'll come around on the back end.
No, your light's on. My light says your name.
I was just going to comment back on Councilmember Castillo's comment regarding the actual agreement. You announced at the end of February that an agreement was made. We're now in May. We have not seen an agreement, not even confidentiality or confidential. We haven't seen anything behind the scenes, not a hard copy. You know, there's leaked copies out there. We don't know if that's accurate. We don't know if the terms are true or not. It's hard to be able to determine, you know, what's in the best interest of the city if we haven't even seen the deal. And we're coming into a budget session where we have to make these decisions, which are critical to the long-term future of our city, and we haven't seen a single sentence. And it's concerning because it feels as if we have a lot of misinformation coming about what that agreement stands for. Now, the controller, you say he's Monday morning quarterbacking, but all he did was give scenarios based on math. He gave 6 scenarios that were just math. So I think he was as balanced and fair as possible because he just stuck to math equations. And so when I'm asking about how are the numbers so different, it's about, you know, what math did we use? And it seems like we can't get an answer on just what formula did you use to get to the number. That's it. And what are in the terms of this deal? And as a lawyer, I could not tell my client, hey, just sign this contract. You don't have to read it. You don't have to know what's in it. Just sign it. And so he had mentioned that he was concerned about that. I know I'm concerned. Probably more of us are concerned about that agreement and just hoping that we can see some of the details so that we can properly weigh in and give some type of informed opinion on it.
Thank you. We're going to accommodate you every way possible. You sent me 10 pretty simple questions yesterday. We're in the process of responding. Like, was I part, John Whitmire, part of the negotiations? Obviously, that's yes, and I could go through another series of questions that you asked that I don't know, unless you were having a slow day or something and wanted to ask me a series of questions, but you have a right to ask all of them. The challenging thing from the controller's presentation was we could sit here the rest of the day with different scenarios. And obviously, you being an attorney, you know that's part of mediation. You mediate at the direction of the court, and you see when you're going to have a settlement and when you're not. You know that the partnership and most interested parties were speculating that the settlement would be $800 to $1 billion. It came in at $650, which was fair to in the judgment I made. I told y'all earlier on previous subjects, this is a difficult decision. You have to show leadership and realize when you hold them and when you fold them. We could have gone to trial. We'd be in trial right now, and it would be in excess, the exposure. And we've listened to our outside counsel, consultants and advisors. The exposure would be over $1 billion. Could have been less, could have been a lot more than the $650. So you do the best you can negotiating. You don't get to run about 6 scenarios up a flagpole. You don't get to relive history. Yes, it's Monday morning quarterback. So, you know, there's a time to speculate and there's a time to sit down and get real. And the proposal, which we can't share, wish I could, you'll see it before you vote. And, you know, I'm very pleased with where we are at this point.
Is it that we can't see the proposal because the judge has mandated that?
You want to ask the city attorney. He's the one that has advised me, our outside counsel,
Attorney Michelle, what are the parameters around us being able to see a copy of the proposal? I know in previous meetings you said you would be able to provide us or find a way to provide us some type of copy or be able to see it. How will we go about that?
The main obstacle right now is that we're still trying to work through some of the terms, and we're in a formal. Well, we don't have a mediator, but we're using the mediation process under Chapter 174 to go through that. So I think once we get a proposal that is final, we can provide that. What has been circulated has some inaccuracies in it. I think that's the main concern, is to be able to have something that both sides agree this is where we are and it's complete, or at least substantially so, and then we can share that with council before, and as the mayor said, before there's a vote, with ample time to ask questions.
So when you say the proposal is not complete, or you're still discussing the terms, that means that terms can change and you all are still negotiating?
Well, we're trying to clarify some of the terms is really what we're doing, and it's primarily with the CBA. I think in terms of the past years, there's very little that there are a few things that primarily from the unions and the specific payouts. You know, what's going to be the Exhibit A is the primary thing that's left uncertain.
Councilman Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me begin by saying Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers around the world, and certainly to all the mothers around this horseshoe. Of course, my mother's no longer with me, but thank God that I had a mother. She was my shero. And so I just want to start by saying Happy Mother's Day to all of them. Also, I want to certainly commend, was gracious in a couple of Saturdays ago, had the opportunity to share with the Black Men Wellness Day with Brother Donnell Cooper, which was a very successful day, and I'm certainly happy to participate and be there because the health of Black men is essential to all of our lives, and certainly we want to encourage many of them to certainly do all they can to keep their health in order. In terms of, with that, I also want to take the moment to address the issue that concerning our chief, retired Chief Finner, for his excellent service. I know people make reference to the idea of those I heard earlier regarding those who are new around the horseshoe concerning the role of our chief. But I like to make people remember that we may be new to the horseshoe, but we're not new to Houston. We know what's going on in this town, and most time what goes on the horseshoe is responding to what goes on in your community. If we're serving the constituents, and then what we do in response is to what the constituents say, and how, like what Ms. Brooks did on yesterday. So I do want to commend Chief Finner. And matter of fact, I've known Chief Finner for years prior to him being the chief of this city. Those of us who are involved in our community, that a lot of us people forget there are many of us who have served and worked in this community long before getting here to this horseshoe. The service starts out in the community, not when you get in here. And I want you to know I was with Chief Finner on Sunday when he was recognized by Noble, the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement, who I pastored, A.B. Chambers, who was the first black law enforcer in this city, in recognition of that. So I understand what the process is, and I'm very familiar with law enforcers. And I certainly want to commend Chief Finner because he has done an excellent job and have served this city honorably and with great pride. But I also want to say that, you know, life is about making hard decisions. And we have to make that hard decision. People, those of us who know what sacrificing is, that some of us will escape the idea that there is sacrifice. And some things are bigger than who you are and bigger than what you are. And so sometimes we have to honor that. And I certainly give honor and respect to him and to all of those who know him, and we wish him a successful life going forward in his retirement. And certainly we want to continue to admonish some of these hard decisions, Mayor, that you have to make. And we pray that all of us would take all of that into consideration and see that our city go forward. Also, I want to say, Mayor, that in my ask several weeks back, I brought up the issue that I would love to see if there was an opportunity where our police department would address this council maybe on a once-a-month basis to the hot spots. That it ironically came up yesterday, but I talked about that several weeks back in requesting that we get a report to these district council members and to all of us at large to the hot spots across the city, because as has been stated, hot spots are everywhere. They're everywhere. And I think if it was a possibility that the department could give that report once a month to where those areas are that are deep concerns for the different types of crimes and whether those crimes are resolved, I think, Mayor, it's just a suggestion that I think it would be an asset to all of us around this horseshoe. Thank you.
Very good. I think I should concur with you in Chief Finner's public service. No one recognizes. During the campaign, I said he would be my chief. It's kind of the practice that you get your own chief, whether it be fire or police. But because of his record, working with me as chairman of criminal justice, I kept him on as chief. This is not about personality. He's a human being. He has feelings. He has a family. Everything was taken into considerations. The bottom line is the department was being distracted due to issues with the investigation, new information. The department was being distracted from its primary mission of fighting crime. So all the remarks about Chief Finner are correct, accurate, concur. He's a friend. I've learned so much from him. Riding the streets, he went from lieutenant to assistant chief. So he's got a very distinguished career, and we should thank him and hope and wish him the very best. But you have to make tough decisions. And I'm very comfortable with Chief Satterwhite carrying on the mission of getting after these hot spots and moving the department forward. Chief Flickinger, Councilmember Flickinger.
Thank you, Mayor. Mainly I wanted to express my gratitude for everybody that helped out with Kingwood. Certainly to you, Mayor. I mean, you were up there a lot. We spent a lot of time together. Spent quite a bit of time talking about Huffman, where all this actually started. It was actually the East Fork of the San Jacinto River that was just really rising rapidly. That's got nothing to do with Lake Conroe, just runoff from up north. So again, thank you for your help, HPD and HFD, obviously. Chief Satterwhite, Commander Smith over at HPD. My Chief of Staff, Dustin, and I both went out with Lake Patrol on Saturday, trying to look at the damage and exactly where we were at. And lo and behold, we ended up rescuing a couple people out of a trailer that was up there. So it was a little surprising that anybody was still there. Both the HPD and the HFD dive teams were there. Director Munoz, Brian Mason from Public Works. I mean, everybody was up there, and it really helped. And again, we really dodged a bullet up there. There was quite a few more homes that would have been flooded if we'd only had 6-8 more inches of water. And I think a lot of that goes to the work that Congressman Crenshaw did in getting us the money for doing the removal of the sediment that had built up both in the river and in the lake. Again, Dave Martin, Dan Huberty, Charles Cunningham, they were all very involved with this. Couple of people that nobody really knows or talks about, Bob Rehak, who spends a lot of time publicizing what's going on up there with the flooding. You've got Mark Micheletti, who is on the San Jacinto River Authority board and was fighting really hard to get those releases throttled back, along with Karen Cambio, who was on the River Authority as well until she went into work in the Crenshaw's office, and she's been a huge help advocating for us there. So, to everybody with there, just thank you very much. I'm sure there's a lot of people I didn't mention that, please don't feel slighted. I appreciate everybody's help up there. It was really nice to see. Beyond that, Damari Perez, who manages the North Sector for me and is responsible for the Kingwood area, is getting her degree tomorrow. She'll graduate from the University of Houston. Also, wanted to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day, certainly my mother as well. And then lastly, my wife. It's our 30th anniversary yesterday. So, thank you.
Just reminded me of all the activity in Kingwood. Chief Fenner and I flew over Kingwood Saturday morning. After we walked in the Cinco de Mayo parade, the entire parade, intermingling with the residents, then we went and voted together at West Gray. Then we departed for Kingwood. So there's a lot of moving parts, and points out how great our city is, but we've got challenges. Thank you. Councilor Member Jackson.
Thank you, Mayor, and good morning, colleagues. First, I want to start off by thanking Chief Fenner for his service and commitment to our city and to the residents in District B. He is from District B. I can say I was a little disappointed when I learned about his retirement. Of course, residents from District B was also disappointed. I received several texts because Chief Fenner did an excellent job in keeping us safe. He was very responsive to the residents' needs. I had an opportunity to work with Chief Fenner before becoming a council member as an organizer. As we did direct action and protest, he made us feel safe, and secure that it was okay for us to express our disapproval of certain things with the city and with government. And so I wish him all the best. And of course, I look forward to working with the new chief, appointed chief, Satterwhite, and just continuing to work on, what we've been doing in the district to keep the residents in District B safe. With that being said, I would like to share with you that after working on a comprehensive strategic plan for District B for 2 years, I finally have my first draft. Yeah. Woo! Yeah, so for more than 10 years, I've seen multiple organizations, universities, the city, the county meet with communities throughout District B, asking them what they would like to see their communities look like. And the residents of District B gave their time, their energy, and ideas, but we've seen very little progress on what their vision was. And so my office has been working closely with economic development experts, George E. Johnson Development Incorporated, to compile all existing community plans, projects being developed by the city and other government agencies in areas where improvements are needed to create District B first comprehensive plan. Yes, so later this month, I will present this plan to the city department directors and will invite them to add to our plan. I'm looking forward to sharing this plan to the constituents of District B on June the 8th. Once this is done, my plan is to, and my job is to get the resources to help the community realize this plan. So I'm really excited about this. As you know, we've had resilient plans, complete communities. It's just, they're always doing these studies, and they're all over the place. And so we just compiled it into one report, and that way people know exactly what we need here in District B. I also invite everyone to check out the first draft at our new website, districtbhouston.com, and send your feedback on what's missing, what we need to add, and if you love it. For more information, contact our office at 832-393-3009 or by emailing us at districtb@houstontx.gov. Lastly, Mayor, I want to thank you and the Parks Department for opening up all our pools in District B for the summertime. So it's going to be a great summer for our kids. Looking forward to it. In fact, I think I'm going to go out and swim with them. Since I've been advocating for it. So I really appreciate you just listening and doing what the community needs. Thank you.
Nice way to end it. I wish everybody happy Mother's Day. With that, we stand adjourned.